Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay, okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now. You doubted me, nothing to talk about.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yep. We're here with Surita's member of ours, Surita Sharma. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And we just discovered that.
You're going to put that on blast,
man,
huh?
Really? What did I just say?
I asked before we started this, is there anything I can't talk about?
That was after.
This was before we went live.
Oh, it was?
But yes, you can share. I'm not shy about that.
It's a compliment.
Man.
we write notes of what we're going to talk about up on the whiteboard, and we're kind of loosely talking about it. We try not to talk too much about it because that's usually good content for the podcast. Jamie Lee and I have had a number of times where we've had these great conversations, laughing our ass off, having fun. We're like, oh shit, we should have been live. We should have waited. But we're talking a little bit about, hey, I like to ask the guests. Most of the guests, are there any subjects that are off topic? Are you uncomfortable talking about? And then I said, well, we want to talk about the fertility subject. Is that okay? She said, oh yeah, totally. That could be a whole podcast. I said, yeah, that's great. And she said, well, it's, this, basically is all about the 45-year-old that's, wanting to have a baby after she got married. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And Jamie's like, what? Because we both thought Surita was 35 years old, 36 years old.
No, that's why I'm joining Masters.
That's right. But you could be a Masters at 35.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Technically, based off of CrossFit Open.
In our Masters class, we do not like 35 to 39 years old. Our list is different than what the CrossFit Games has.
You're the OG list where it was 40 and was a Masters.
It was 50 and up on. If you wanted it, we still
I thought there was a 40.
There was.
Oh, but you still didn't consider that Masters.
No, those are and what we make fun of them now. As Surita knows, I think we called her the baby. She's a baby master.
Yes, you did call me that.
So 35 could be a master in training.
Yeah. So Surita is representing her family here. By the way, this is not just about her journey. This is her and her husband Peter's journey. And so he's not here today because she's far more entertaining.
We'll see.
Peter. Sorry, Peter. Peter's a
hopefully
great
Peter's
guy
not listening.
Comment now if you're listening.
But anyway, no, this is a really cool story because Surita and I have this in common. Surita and Peter have this in common with Yvonne and I because our daughter is adopted. Are we? Oh,
we're still live. I mean, the audio is still coming through, but
is she plugged? Is her thing plugged in?
No, that one doesn't get plugged in.
Okay, so Surita's still on. She's going to talk, but we've got that computer is a little bit sketch, and if we need to go to a backup, we can use this Chromebook too. But I will. What Surita revealed to me I see her in the evenings. Do you mostly train in the evenings, by the way?
Yes, that's when I have time.
Okay.
I've seen
a full-time job. I
switched.
Yeah, I switched from a remote job back to
in
in person. I work in healthcare.
Oh, you do?
So
What are you doing in healthcare? What are you doing in healthcare?
I'm an administrator.
Really?
Associate Chief Administrative Officer at Kaiser Permanente.
Are you really?
Yeah. So I go in 5 days a week.
Yeah, you do.
So
that job's like
it's pretty intense. So yeah, night times is when I find my fun time.
And Peter works full time also, right?
Yes, he's also full time, but he's remote, which is great.
Okay.
I don't know if he likes being remote now because he's like, I have to do all the things because we have 2 dogs, now 2 kids.
Yep.
All the appointments. So I'm not sure he's happy about it.
His workload is like quadruple, probably more than that. Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully you're listening right now.
Yeah. Like now, not like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. That kind of gives us a picture of it, of what's going on. But Surita and I connected, and we started talking, and she told me a little bit about, mostly about the adoption process of her daughter, Aubrey, and that she had, which isn't for us, for Yvonne and I, we went through an online, believe it or not, back in, it was 21 years ago, we went through an online adoption network online. It was a great organization, and they essentially try to match parents who are trying to find a home for their child or baby that's good to be born, and they match it with people that are looking to adopt. And for us, it happened really quickly. Like, we literally contacted them, filled out all the just mounds of paperwork, did all that whole process, and within 3 weeks we got contacted.
You're lucky.
Yes.
Very, very lucky.
Yes, we are. We're very
Not
fortunate.
the same situation.
No.
For you then. Yeah.
No.
I think fostering and adopting, fostering through now it's called Family Child Services versus CPS, which we know is Children Protection Services, where it sounds like Craig went through kind of like, there's also the adoption process where you can apply to different adoption agencies.
Yes.
So it's not through the county.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then ours is quick. Surita went through a foster process. So tell me about, so your son also, right?
Yes.
Lucas, who's 3.
1.
Oh, wait.
My daughter's 3.
Oh, your
my
daughter's, I'm
son's
sorry.
1.
I got it backwards. That's right. So
Yeah.
your daughter's 3. And 3 years ago you went through the foster process. How long did that process take from foster to adoption?
So my case is very unique. And, a lot of people in the agencies, which is, again, Children and Family Services, say, like, you guys got the golden ticket. Because usually it takes years.
Wow.
Like, I have friends that are fostering to adopt right now, and it's taken 2.5 years. Because, the goal of Children and Family Services is to reunify with their family, right? That's the number one goal.
Oh, okay.
If it's not their biological parents, it's someone within their family.
Got it.
And
Grandmother,
so that
uncle, aunt.
anyone,
Got it.
and it could be out of state, within state. So that's really what their goal is. We were fortunate. I don't know if that's the right word,
I know
really,
I know what you mean.
because
No, I know, and I think
these poor
everyone will
kids.
Yeah, right. Yep.
But for Aubrey, we got last July. She was 20 months old. And so she transitioned from a foster home. Both my kids were left at birth at the hospital.
Okay.
And both were because of drug addiction.
Okay.
And so they were left at birth. So Aubrey came to us at 20 months when her foster family of almost 2 years decided not to adopt her. So she went back into the kind of the system.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to be chosen. I didn't know there was like this whole process where, you put names forward, and our social worker is the most amazing social worker. You can go through around who supports you and who supports the children as well, and other families. But yeah, so we put our name in the hat, and we were chosen. And so
it's can I interrupt you there?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
and Jamie, help me from like not interrupting and ruining stories.
I'll just tell you to shut up at some point.
Yeah, because
like
this
thing.
Yeah.
I'll just mute you.
There's parts that I really want. Like the beauty of this podcast is I get to learn so much, and I'm I don't know 60. I love hearing this stuff. The selection process, and I also, this one I'm kind of personal with, because Yvonne and I essentially put ourselves out there. We created a book about ourselves.
Yeah.
And we actually go, and then we go and a web page that people would go into, and they literally shuffle through and kind of pick you.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What was surprising to us was we were, when we met the birth parents in the hospital when our daughter was born, is how similar looking they were. That was fascinating to us. And, but then all of a sudden it started to make sense. Well, of course, that's what people are going to do for their child. Who makes that decision for you? Is that one person? Is it a committee? Is it someone going, well, I'll match Surita and Peter with this child?
It's their adoption worker. So the child's adoption worker. So the
okay,
child
and that adoption worker is hired by
the county.
Okay.
Yeah. So they usually have an adoption worker and a social worker.
Okay.
That kind of supports them. We as families in Contra Costa at least have a social worker that supports us.
Okay.
And if there is things that we go to court for, like when I had our teenager, like we had lawyers as well.
Okay.
that they support children and they can also support us as parents.
Mhm.
Wow.
So we don't know what stood out because we didn't do what Craig did. Like,
Yeah, you didn't have a whole
webpage, we didn't
profile
we
and
had no
everything.
profile. So whatever our social worker did to kind of make us stand out, stood out. So yeah, again, super lucky.
Yeah.
And so glad that she's a part of our family. But yeah, we don't know what the selection process is, but there was about 5 to 6 applicants or people that were shown to that adoption worker. And yeah, so we got the call a couple of days later and was like, do you want to meet her?
How
So
long ago was this?
that was last July.
Yeah, it was
Yeah. So
very
she-
recent.
Yeah, very, very recent.
And she at that time was how old?
20 months.
Okay.
So you think that they don't know what's happening, but they definitely do. So it's been challenging with her.
Mhm.
She's the best kid I've ever known. And she is so resilient, but we've had a therapist once a week since she's been with us just because of tantrums, just not understanding what's happening, very don't kiss me, don't hug me. Who are you?
Stranger.
When I'm strange
base,
danger
yeah.
almost.
Okay.
That's
So yeah,
fascinating.
and she finally about a month ago in our therapy appointment to her therapist said, Candace, sorry, I shouldn't have said her name. Starts with a C. Her
Right.
therapist, she goes, Candace, the monsters are gone. I'm not scared anymore.
Oh, that's
man.
awesome.
And literally,
Oh.
like her whole demeanor has changed around us. So she's just much more wanting to kind of be a part
That's
of
awesome.
our family and loving. And yeah, I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
She just looked at me like mouthed it to me. And I'm like, yes. And she continues to say it now. So it's like,
That's awesome.
It's good confirmation
Just-
that she's safe.
Let
now.
me
Yeah.
does that you think where does that trauma, that mental trauma, where does that originate from? Is that something that she's is this nature kind of versus nurture thing? Is she born because of the experience she may have had in utero, or is it the result of difficulties maybe with the first foster family, or maybe the transition from a foster family to another foster family at such a young age? What do you think about that?
Latter. Like we always were like, what could it be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like my daughter was born with withdrawals because her mom took
Oh.
heroin on the day of her birth.
Oh shit.
So she was in NICU for 3 weeks with methadone. And so
Wow.
then we were like, oh my goodness, like, could that be it? Like there were
Of
so many
course.
things you could
Yes.
point your finger to,
Yep.
but it really goes down to, and our therapists and our social workers tell us like that transition. And we do courses every Thursday, my husband and I, just to understand and learn from others. And yeah, it's definitely around transition and change. They're feeling safe. They're somewhere. They thought that was their family, forever family. She's been there for almost 2 years. And all of a sudden you up and change and you walk into somebody else's
And
house.
you might think that that there's not a lot of imprinting going on.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't get the verbal cues right. You don't get
Totally.
you don't get the
Mhm.
immediate feedback that
Yes.
you might with a grown child. So you probably think it won't matter. It won't matter. It won't have an impact. And holy crap.
Oh my goodness. Like,
Wow.
and it's just like we couldn't even go on vacation.
I remember you telling me some of
Like,
these stories.
We could not and still can't.
Mhm.
We're hoping in the spring it will get better, especially now that she's had this verbal change
Yeah.
with us and emotional change that we could probably go away again. But she needs structure, routine, and
Yeah.
even dropping her off at daycare, she didn't think that we were going to come back. So like it's like she just threw huge tantrums. So yeah, she knew.
I remember
Yeah.
you telling me too that she trusted you more than Peter initially, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of maybe a like what you were saying around how she was raised in her foster family before
Right.
us is like I think the family was involved, but I think the mom definitely was home more
Yeah.
and
Right.
just
Oh,
very
okay.
coddled her a lot and,
Right.
that kind of stuff. And so she was it was mom and her.
Yeah.
It's fascinating too. There's the other thing that you don't think that they might be able to discern, right? Peter versus you,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The basic gender difference between you and he.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And I think some don't want to, sometimes women put off more nurturing vibes as well, but
Yeah.
Yes.
she's 100% a daddy's girl now. Like, oh my God. Like
Is it because he's working from home and he's spending
No,
essentially more time with him?
No, because
her?
he drops her off or picks her up. One of us do one or
Okay.
the other,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like more or
Got it.
less. But
Yeah, it goes
she's-
with
I think
most-
he's fun.
Yeah,
right?
with-
and
yeah.
I'm more like, get your shit done.
That's the opposite of my house.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of my house.
You know what? It's interesting. So that's all kids, right? So
Yeah.
it's whether daughters and sons, they do. There's some that are mommy.
That's
kids,
true. That's true.
And then there's some that are dad, like my daughter too, kind of a daddy's girl.
Daddy's
too.
girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
told him it would switch, and they
Yeah.
ebb and flow. Everybody,
Yeah.
like even our
Yeah.
therapist tells us, like it's gonna ebb and flow,
Yeah.
like for sure. And yeah, so now we're waiting.
Keep
for
working
the
on her.
son.
Keep working on. Keep working on her though, Peter, because it's amazing to have like for the rest of your life. It's just, you got this, bro. It is. There's nothing more. I don't know. It's just me and like. It's just really, really cool to have that father-daughter relationship
Oh my
that
God.
I have.
I like every time I see it, it just
Yeah.
brings joy to my face. And just
Unfortunately, I'm
inside,
also
yeah.
the helicopter parent where I've kind of, it's my, I've spoiled her so much. She's,
I don't know if that's a helicopter parent right there. That's
Yeah.
just
I don't know,
spoiling.
just-
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Created a monster.
Helicopters coming in and out. I don't think we do that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. I'm there all the time. Hovering.
You hovering.
Yeah. So okay, so amazing. And you guys did before we talk about your son Lucas, and well, it's too late, I already said the name, but did you know that was like Yvonne and I were told like it could be anywhere from a few months to a few years to the waiting process, and make sure you get all your stuff done. You have to do all these pass all these state license tests, which is always remarkable to me. I'm like, holy crap, we got to go through this. We got to meet with counselors, and, all of these things to be approved to adopt. And I'm thinking,
It's just being vetted.
other people just have to have sex and they have a kid. Like,
Yes.
I guess when you put it that way.
and it happens like,
Most.
yeah.
Nowadays.
But so anyway, were you guys aware, like you went into the foster system rather than say doing international adoption or something like that? Were you aware that this was gonna be like this lengthy and this, especially with the fraud with the legal stuff and everything else?
Well, it's funny. If an international foster or adoption, if my mom's listening, hi mom, because I know she is. But we wanted. I was like, how about someone from India? Because my whole family lives in India,
Right.
except
Okay.
for my mom and my brothers. And 2 years
2 years is the time
Minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah.
wait time. So, anyways, but the foster system, like getting into the foster system, it's a lot of work too.
Yeah.
So, you have to have background checks. You have to
Yes.
come and have home checks.
Yep.
And then you have to do 18 hours of education
Mhm.
and classes. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. And then, your social worker really is definitely your advocate in looking at kind of who's the right fit. Because we've gotten many calls for many different children, from a
Wow.
10-year-old that had a 6-month-old son to a 3 and a
Oh,
5-year-old.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah. A 10-year-old who had a 6-month-old.
Oh my.
So it's just, we've had so many calls, but like we had to make sure one, we understood the situation and can we support
Yeah.
these children
Yeah.
with how they needed to be supported. And that's like the biggest piece of all of this is once you get through all of that, then it's like making sure you just don't dive right in, which we did with our teenager. And, it wasn't the right fit for us because then we really knew that we wanted to have a family and wanted to adopt. Because there's about 4 or 5 different ways you can participate in Children and Family Services. You can emergency shelter. So I got calls constantly saying, can you pick this baby up from, Oakland hospital? Because it's, they're in the system because of some type of parental neglect.
Yeah.
And that's mostly is drug abuse or physical abuse. So there's the emergency shelter, which we couldn't support. There's fostering to adopt, and then there's legal guardianship.
Okay.
So there's different types of programs you can participate in. And so we went straight to foster to adopt after we were enrolled in all, because that was the best fit for us.
Yeah.
But then when we get calls, the foster to adopt even has its own challenges because family might be involved. Again, for us, both our kids didn't have any family involved, and their parental rights were terminated almost immediately because they didn't show up to court. And they get multiple times to show up to court to show up for their kids.
Yes.
And they didn't. So like my friends who have had their daughter since she was 3 weeks old, her mom kept showing up, but kept,
Declining.
trying to reunify, but kept declining to, drugs or
showing that
not showing up.
Yeah.
And then petitioning. So extends it, and they finally adopted her a couple months ago.
That's awesome.
Officially.
Yes.
2 years. She's 3 years now old. But so there's a lot of challenges within the system. So it's, we've had a really great process, but there is you'll hear stories of kids going back and forth with their parents and having PTSD and struggling with transition changes and tantrums because they have no structure or routine, because of the goal of the program is really to get them back with their family.
Right.
So
for those families that are involved in the foster system, those that are answering those phone calls, in the middle of the night to come get a child or to help with the process. And you guys are heroes. I just want to say that, that's we get so established in our lives with all the stuff that we have in our lives. People that are literally willing to give up a big part of their portion of their lives to dedicate to something like that is really remarkable. I mean, it's just a tremendous thing, and I can't even imagine getting those calls.
It's super challenging, and it's
bet.
very hard to say no,
right?
Because I want to take all the children in
yes.
and be like, come,
right?
But my husband's cut me off for now.
For now.
He's not listening. Hopefully.
How long ago did you guys start the child process?
Fostering?
Trying to get pregnant.
Probably now 2 years ago.
Okay.
It's probably 2.5 years ago. And as Craig has stated my age, as women get older, it's hard, and everybody tells you it gets harder. And it definitely, that was my journey. And we tried, and like I said to you guys before off the podcast, is that when we weren't live, is that that could be a whole podcast just about infertility and things that I wish I learned when I was in my 20s and my 30s, around freezing eggs and doing all these other things, and knowing your body in more of a different way from a hormone or acidic perspective internally, and things that, Craig does lots of great podcasts and shares those Huberman labs and all that type of stuff that people don't understand.
That's right.
And we don't understand because there's no tests for those types of things. But it was about 2.5 years ago. Tried naturally, tried IUI, IVF. Man.
Yeah.
What an isolating experience.
Quite the process.
Oh, yeah.
And I took about 8 months off Diablo because nothing was working. And so I just kind of had to be like, okay, I just have to focus on this. And everything I tried, acupuncture,
Yeah.
any type of IV, like anything, and nothing worked. And so we were also in the process of doing this fostering
Mhm.
as well. So we were kind of doing it laterally. And so we were lucky in that sense that we were already kind of applied and having our background checks and stuff done that way
So
too.
the ball was already rolling.
yeah, so the ball was rolling that way. But yeah, it was, and my husband's much younger than I am. So, it's like when you're ready. And we as now, just people, we are having children later.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, it's
Which
just
is a cool,
something that,
which actually turns out to be a really cool thing. Yvonne and I too,
Yeah.
same thing. 10 years of trying. We didn't do we chose not to do the in vitro fertilization, and then we went the adoption route. But what you said there really resonates. Like, you wish you had known some of these things in your 20s that we know now today, especially relative
Mhm.
to the reproductive system, hormones,
Everything.
environmental
Environmentals.
influences.
Environmentals, yeah,
Yeah.
for
Environmental
sure.
influences. Those
Yeah.
things are, and I think it's a bit of an epidemic in this country that's not talked about. In
100%.
this gym, well, in this room,
Yeah.
there's three
Three of us,
couples
Yeah.
Yeah.
that randomly have gotten together here, but all three of us have had to deal with this
Yep.
issue.
Yep. Definitely.
And that's too many. I
Too
don't
many.
think probably our parents would say the same thing, that they would have known
Mhm.
very many people that would be going through this process. And it's so,
Agreed.
it's one of those things where I hope that our country starts to look at this and go, okay,
We got to correct some issues.
there's
Course correct.
there's something here. This isn't just an
Yeah.
age thing. This isn't just a busy lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
It's not a stress thing. There's
Yeah.
got to be something in there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's like the people that have been through it know that it is a painful process.
Yes,
and like
yeah.
I said, very isolating, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
not enough support groups out there or people to talk to around what's happening to your body and how you feel. Like, I couldn't feel my ass for
From the shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like 6 months after. Like, I just got back here in January into Diablo, and I just started feeling normal, like in the
Mm.
beginning of the summer.
It is especially difficult and mentally
Mhm.
demanding
Oh,
on,
big time.
sorry, the woman than it is the man.
Yeah. 1000%.
We're kind of big dumb idiots. Here's your cup. Go do what you need to do. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's it's her. Or if it is you, it's like, all right, well, let's.
Well, my husband
Let's go to
was
a
giving me all my shots.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think, very stressful for him
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah.
Especially he's stabbing a nurse.
Oh yeah.
I'm a nurse. So it's like, you better
Did
be
he have
doing
any
it right.
bad shots?
And then
Do we want to
and
talk
here's
about
the other
that
thing too, is
live?
like, because there's an emotional connection with like trying to have a child, and then the whole sexual experience and everything else. And then what happens is that it all becomes clinical.
Totally.
There's a clock,
gonna say
there's
that.
a time, there's like
Schedule. You got to be
right,
here
so all
at this
of a sudden
point.
that emotion,
Yeah.
that emotional connection starts going. And that in and of itself probably creates, unnecessary cortisol rises.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. When you think about how stress is impacting
Oh,
our
yeah.
bodies, and just that, like, you're just adding stress to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, don't do anything differently.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're putting me on a very strict
Yeah.
timeline. I can't travel.
But-
I can't
yeah.
do all these things.
But
that
you
I
need to have sex tomorrow at 10 a.m. Don't do anything differently. Your husband needs to come
Yeah.
home from work
Yeah.
and be ready to
You have
go.
7-day window.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. The whole process. So, but the one point I wanted to make is that, you talked about being older and having kids. And it's one of the things that I think my wife and I really appreciate. We have and I mean, everybody appreciates, I look at the all of the members, all of the women that have had babies
Oh my
recently, and
goodness.
just how
Something's in the water.
something is in the water. But they also are just
We've had phases.
in the
crazy.
pictures and the stories and how in love with
I
they are with
know.
it. But I will tell you that I think for me personally, I appreciated my daughter more than I would have had she been born 10 years ago, like I was way more
Yeah.
connected. One, because I went through
Mhm.
this long, we went through this
Yeah.
long process.
Right.
as
More
a family
appreciative in
together,
that
more
aspect.
appreciative of it. But I was also just, as you get older, you start, it's like watching the Discovery Channel. I tell people like every day, wow, she couldn't do that
Yeah.
yesterday. Today she can.
Yeah.
What happened? And,
Yes.
it's just, and to me, every day was like something new and something fascinating. It was so cool. And I never took any part of it for granted ever.
Mhm.
And I think it's a process going through that trial. So, but there's a special reward.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right.
It's 100% rewarding. I know I talked a lot about some challenges you go through, but man, helping out children and making them feel safe,
Yeah.
couldn't ask for anything more
Right?
for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have changed anything like from a journey
I know.
perspective for sure. Cause I love those two.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my own.
It's kismet. It's fate.
Yes.
Like they're supposed to be with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They don't look like me. So everybody looks around and being like, who is she? Is she the nanny? But, but just saying.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, but it's true.
It's true.
people-
I have
yeah.
a
people
blonde
say,
haired,
go-
blue eyed boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
okay.
you go to a park, but people. I took my daughter to the swimming pool in Texas. We were in Austin, Texas. I took her to the swimming pool, and Yvonne loves telling the story too. And I remember going there, and I was playing with my daughter, and this woman that was there at the pool, and I was just me and Alana, right? And she's 3, and that probably looked, like an appealing target for that country club woman. She came up and she's just in case, go, your daughter should learn to swim. Yeah, I go, yeah, she can get in the water. Everything goes. She goes, huh? She goes, you have green eyes. Your daughter has brown eyes. Does your wife have brown eyes?
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Very intrusive.
I was like, and I didn't even think about it when I first got it. I go, no, she's got green eyes too. But I didn't say my daughter's adopted. I never said it. She's like, oh. and I didn't think about it till after I went home, and I was like, and I think I told Yvonne, and we were like, oh, I see.
She didn't
what
want to
she was.
pry.
Yeah, she'd be like, are you sure that's yours, sir?
No, I just get looks. That's all.
Yeah, you do. Are you the nanny? Oh, you could totally see that anywhere.
No one's made that comment. Just FYI.
That's just you. That's your comment.
That's my
You're
comment.
you are
I
projecting,
am
but
not the
it's
nanny.
that's pretty funny. Have a shirt.
funny.
You could just wear a shirt. Is not the nanny.
Oh my God, I need to get that shirt. That's a great idea. Peter, Christmas present.
But you said he's not listening.
I know it's
Oh
probably.
my
I don't know.
God.
When he goes
Maybe
back and
it's
listen to the recording.
I know.
So, were you able to? Was your daughter's adoption completed before
Lucas.
Lucas?
Yes. Yeah. So we officially adopted her in January. And so that process almost took more than 6 months, just because there was things around paperwork and all that stuff. Our second adoption went a lot smoother. It actually took 6 months almost to the day. March, I got a call, or February, end of February, I got a call. And we had the same, they're both from Tehama County, not from Contra Costa. So
Okay.
Contra Costa is partnering with other counties right now
Mhm.
because we have an abundance of families.
Yes.
But children in the age range from 0 to 8, not a lot of, which a lot of people are like, I'd
Yeah.
love to have a younger child placed
Sure.
with us.
Yeah.
We have a lot of teenagers here.
That's unfortunate.
And just stats alone, 45,000 children in California in foster care. 15,000 around are foster to adopt in California. So a lot of our teenagers are in kind of hotels, because group homes, they're not called group homes anymore.
Yeah.
But those, like, they are full. And teenagers have their own challenges as well. But they're both from Tehama County, which is kind of where Redding, Red Bluff is. Huge opioid
That's right.
area.
Yep.
And so, I got a call at the end of February for Lucas, and was like, we have to pull him as an emergency pull. He was in his foster home, and he was being pulled for neglect. And
From the foster parents.
yeah, and in home violence. And so he came to us probably newborn size. He was at 6 months old, and rash all over his body. very underweight, couldn't hold his head up, was not eating solids, sleeping randomly. So yeah, I got 5 days notice that he was coming. So I was like, oh man, what is a 6-month-old use,
Yeah.
wear, eat? So we have a great Contra Costa foster place that we can go and get stuff. So
Yeah.
I got a free
Wow.
crib
Like a resource.
just to get
Was that
like,
was that a call in the middle of the night kind of thing?
no, they're the same workers, adoption and social worker, as Aubrey was. So
Okay.
they knew us, and in court, once we like left court
Yeah.
and signed the papers, they were like, so hopefully we can work with you guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
And
for
we're
them.
like-
I'd do that
we're
too.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
find
us-
a good
give
candidate.
us some
Absolutely.
Oh
time.
yeah.
but time meant a month they gave us.
Right.
But again, it was a great opportunity,
Yeah.
and I can't. I'm horrible at saying no. So my husband's better at saying no. So if they called my husband, it would probably a different story. But
yeah.
but yeah, so he came to us March 1st. He was turning 6 months the next week. But yeah, we've had to kind of nurse him back to health.
Mhm.
He was 5th percentile when we got him. He's in
Wow.
the 60th now.
Awesome.
Right on.
He
work.
can almost walk. He's a chubber. So if you saw before and after pictures of what he looked like, and he's
Oh,
he's
man.
just an amazing little kid. He's again so resilient. Yeah, he just turned 1 in September, and we just officially adopted him in
That's
September
awesome.
as well. So yeah, he's now a part of our family as well, permanently.
When you start the adoption process, so they come into foster, and then you have to tell someone where we'd like to adopt this child.
So they have, again, a social and adoption worker that follow them.
Okay.
The intrusive thing about being in the system is we get social worker visits every month. So they come
Yes.
check on the child, which is a good
Can
thing
check up,
because
yeah.
like, look what happened to
Right.
Lucas.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they check on the child, but they also check on your house.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Is it safe?
Yeah.
Etc. So
baby proofed and all the.
oh yeah, like my fireplace has a baby gate
Oh,
around
yeah.
it, like
Yep.
all those types of things.
I remember
Right.
all that we had to do.
Yeah.
Baby gate on the stairs and.
Everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So, some social workers even go into your pantry and say, do you have expired food and in your
Oh, wow.
fridges? So they do that once a month. And
Okay.
so as the process is going, you have to foster them for at least 6 months minimum.
Okay.
And then you can start the process. For us, because they knew us, they had started the process almost right away.
And that he would already gone
petition
through
to court
the
and-
adoption process
yeah,
with
'cause
your
the-
daughter.
Yeah, because the parental rights were already terminated when we got
Yeah.
them. So it was really around paperwork, petitioning to the court. And then we would have a court date. And so we drove up to Tehima and presented at court, had a lovely ceremony. Again, the judges are always like, this is the best part of our day.
Yeah,
because
that's
like
awesome.
usually they're ripping families apart.
Right.
And so they're like, yeah, they had a really nice speech, which I always cry at. Yeah. And then we get to sign and take pictures with them, and
Mhm.
off we go. We're a
That's
family.
awesome.
Yeah.
The who foots the bill for all of that?
You mean like,
Who's paying that? Because there's attorneys, there's there's
the county
travel.
pays for everything,
Okay.
but like us traveling up there and like staying overnight and all that stuff, we
Yeah,
pay
that's
for.
on
Okay.
you, yeah.
That's all out of our
Out of
pockets. They
pocket,
do subsidize once a month for you to take the child and make sure he or she has the basic needs.
Okay.
So they
good.
do support you in that way. And they have
Right.
so many other support groups. Like she has a therapist,
Yeah.
right? Like we had physio and OT come in. I just always had a developmental assessment for baseline. So I knew
Mhm.
that always improving with like fine gross motor skills, et cetera.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a lot of resources as long as you know about them. And that's the thing is like, I wish they had more of like an intro class to hear all the things that you should know and be aware of. Like,
They need a really good YouTube.
Yeah.
They need a YouTube channel. Honest to God, that, 'cause
Yeah.
that's and that I could see that city governments and it's understandable. They're last to the game on
Yeah.
everything like that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But you think about like getting into CrossFit now. You go to CrossFit, you go to the CrossFit YouTube.
How do I
and it's
start
just,
CrossFit?
It's all there.
yeah,
it's
true.
and
It's
even
a very good
our
idea.
YouTube is not very good, but you go to CrossFit, it's just nailed. Like everything you want is there.
Right.
And same thing with my new fascination is with building an ADU at a accessory dwelling in my house. So I get all of these videos on how to build it, and now I'm convinced I can do it myself. I don't even need to buy one.
Yeah,
I can
there we
do it
go.
myself. Yeah, which is probably a mistake.
DIY.
But
Can't wait for that YouTube. episode.
Please document that. Fuck.
Yeah.
I can't fix a rogue echo bike without doing that. Sorry, I got way off on a tangent here. But YouTube would be great for these guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. Or
Anyway.
some type of, like I said, support group that
Yeah.
people can join. Like we have one through in Contra Costa where people ask
Okay.
questions.
I was going
Like,
to ask, is that
how like, because a lot of people are like, when do we get the birth certificate?
Yeah.
When-
Oh yeah. all
I
that.
can't travel
Yeah.
until he has a new birth certificate. Then I have
Oh.
to get a passport. So I haven't
Got
been
it.
to Canada in years. And so, yeah, those are all the things that nobody tells you about.
so? How did you find that through the Facebook
No.
page, or
I
you had to
researched.
research
Just keep
everything
doing
solo?
it.
Okay.
Yep.
Good for
So-
you.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you guys, people
Could
like
be a
you,
lot
I'm
easier.
eternally grateful for, and
Yeah.
we all need to be grateful for that. That there are people like Sarita and Peter that will do the work, do it, and then bring these kids. You save 2 lives.
Yeah.
I know.
You literally save 2 lives.
And like really the heroes, I'm gonna just big shout out to the social workers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My goodness. Like
I'm super impressed.
these social workers have 25 kids
Yeah, I can't.
per social worker. I don't know how they do their job
No.
at all. So yeah, we're a piece of it, but those workers, like, then they don't get paid enough.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You think about police officers, firefighters, and
Yeah,
you think about
100%.
911 people that are on the answering the calls, like traumatic, and then these folks.
Mhm.
Like, the emotional turmoil, like the
Ugh.
connection. I'd be in tears all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You definitely cannot be the soft-hearted,
No.
Yeah,
even if
well,
you're
yeah,
a
you gotta be a
foster
little tough,
parent
right?
or
Oh yeah.
as a social worker,
Wow.
because you could lose your kid
Yeah.
overnight because the parent decided to go into rehab,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's definitely
The one thing about California is California has a law that if a child is born and given up for adoption, the right of refusal or the right to be able to cancel that is, I
Mhm.
think it's 1 year.
it's actually only
Or is it 6 months?
It's less than a year for sure.
Right. Okay.
Once they're adopted, like for us,
Mhm.
they have 2 weeks to
Oh,
come back
okay.
and say, hey, actually,
After paperwork's been
after
signed, court's
Yeah.
done.
court's
Okay.
stamped,
Yeah.
but yeah, they have about up to 6 months to a year to petition,
Yes.
to say, hey, no, that's not the right, step forward. And but yeah, a lot of the times they're not successful. And so yeah, they definitely still have that. So even if you've adopted them, there could
It's
be
still
Like,
there's
you-
still
you-
not
you-
official.
I could not
Sleeping
imagine.
easy kinda
you
setup.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being
No.
like adopting and then 6 months later
Fuck no.
finding out you're going to lose?
lose your kid again.
Be
Yeah.
like fighting words.
And my daughter.
Yeah.
You want to do what?
Right, yeah, right. My daughter was born in a clinic in Leesville, Louisiana,
Mm.
and in Louisiana, it's 48 hours. They only
Oh,
have
wow.
48 hours, and that's the 48 hours is the amount of time that it takes all of the drugs that they may have taken for the pregnancy to wear off to make a sound decision. So it was 40. So
Wow, that's
we
interesting.
48, and Texas is the same. Texas is the same thing. In California, and there are adoptions in California. I knew it was long. It was like 3 to 6 months or something like that. And we also knew of cases where
Yeah.
you hear the stories, and that's a lot of reason why people were driven to go international
Yeah.
for many years. And international adoptions, you made the point, is 2 years in India. A lot of countries like Russia and other countries really put limitations on it.
Mhm.
Because for about, I don't know, it's about 10 years, I want to say, from like 2000 to 2010, the Americans were going to foreign countries in droves to adopt and then bring their child over. And then they knew, because they knew it was like a safe adoption, they get them
Yeah.
here and there was no chance of the parent coming and getting
Yeah.
the
Oh,
child.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But those countries said, look, we don't want to lose our heritage.
Mhm.
We want to keep our children in our country. So they started to enact things like,
Interesting.
limitations.
It's and here, like, it's so hard. Like, we looked at the adoption agencies, but man, the price tag and the things you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do, like, you got to get professional photos and write a novel.
Oh
And it takes a year, minimum, again, 2 years,
2
to
years,
get
yep.
matched with someone.
Wow.
So yeah, we thought, this way we can be helping people.
Yeah.
And, because we didn't know we were going to get to adoption. We
Yeah.
thought fostering, help people out, help the kids out. But yeah, definitely.
What are your
shifted.
have you, yeah, I'm sure you guys have talked about this. You and Peter have talked.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Maybe.
What are your plans or thoughts about talking to Aubrey and Lucas about being adopted and their birth parents? Do you guys have a plan? Were you given a plan, or were you told kind of how to approach it?
Well, so one thing that we want them to know right away. And that's kind of
Yeah.
another reason why we got Aubrey a therapist, and now we'll rope
Mhm.
Lucas into that too, is that how do we tell them that story? I've heard so many people, now that people know that we've adopted, they're like, well, I was adopted.
Oh,
And there was so
Yes,
much
yeah,
resentment
yeah.
when the parents didn't tell them
Yep.
early on.
Yeah.
And I want them to know their story, and I'm trying to create life books, and it's
Mhm.
harder for me because we don't know where their parents are. We have
Yeah.
names, so we're Googling stuff, and we're like, I'm just guessing that this person might be her mom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where she is. She didn't respond to anything. Her dad, I do. Lucas's parents, we know. So we don't know, but we know of.
You know, of
And
and whereabouts.
Yes, because Lucas's mom is pregnant with her 17th child.
With her, I'm sorry, say that again.
17th.
17th child.
Yeah, she's 38.
Fuck.
Yeah. So we might be getting another phone call.
Wow.
Because they try to keep siblings together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we know of them too. So I can start with those types of things. And
Yeah.
like, even with the therapist with Aubrey, like, we're showing the photo album of her foster family too, because we want to know,
Mhm.
like, we are not trying
Yeah.
to kind of say that never happened.
Yeah. It's part of their story, part of the journey.
Totally part of their
Yeah.
journey and story. And so she knows. And so she kind of plays it out in therapy,
Yeah.
and like, hey, here's this person and this person. I'm not going to say their names, but yeah.
Yeah.
And she'll, like, so she knows. So we're trying to be very open about it. Especially like the stories we've heard of, like, resentment and
Yeah.
not knowing. And so, yeah. And if they want to meet their siblings,
Yeah.
if we can find them,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's the same. We were concerned about, like, what happens. The concern is, as an adopting parent, you think, well, what happens if she wants to leave us and go to her back?
We talk about it all the
So-
time.
So
We, as in, like, you and Peter?
So
Yes.
it was really cool because we got great advice from the adoption agency, and the first thing they said is it usually goes the other way around. And I go, what do you mean the other way around? She goes, when they meet their foster with their natural family, birth family, they feel resentment and disappointment
Oh, interesting.
and hurt because they were rejected by them. And then they're also they find out the real life situation and realize, oh, and you have to condition them and prepare them for being disappointed in what they find. Instead of the perception is with adopted parents, they're going to see them like, oh my God, family reunion, and this is
Totally.
amazing. This
Mhm.
and what happens is usually there's rejection. In other words, the birth parents aren't excited, are tentative or nervous, and then that gives the impression that, oh, I'm not welcome, and it ends up being a point of disappointment. I remember a story that you said that about the people being disappointed. I remember my buddy told me, because when I was in Austin, Texas, and we just learned that we had been matched with my daughter. And I remember a buddy telling me, he goes, yeah, I'm adopted. And it's amazing how people do come up to me and tell them. And
All
I'm
the
like,
time.
oh shit, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he goes, dude, don't do what my parents did. I go, what's that? He goes, I was literally like 8 years old. My dad was playing poker with his buddies, and he was in the room when his dad was playing poker, drinking and playing poker with his buddies. And one of his dad's buddies said, your son's adopted, right? He says, yeah, my son's adopted. And
Oh,
he goes, that's how I found out.
Oh my
And I said to my dad, I said to my dad in front of all these, he goes, what? I'm definitely goes, yeah. He goes, it's not, it is
my
and his dad
God.
goes, my dad goes, yeah, he goes, get over it. It's not that big a deal. And
It's
literally
like,
left
let's
it
just
at
put
that.
your foot in your mouth real
Yeah,
quick.
and literally left it at that. He goes, don't do that. Like,
Wow.
Noted.
Yeah, definitely
He
not.
was,
Could you imagine?
Clay,
I could not.
Clay was
Just overhearing it?
No, he was a great guy. But he told me that story. I'm like, oh, that's not gonna happen. Okay, and I really appreciate him actually telling me that story. But there are, you'll hear those kinds of stories as well. And I think, with Alana, we started. There's what's great now is there's kids books to
Oh,
they're
100%.
really
Yes,
cool. They're really nice.
good
And we started
books.
her,
Yeah.
and to this day, she has just a really comfortable relationship with it. And they say, don't do the other thing too, which is you're special because you're adopted.
Mm.
It's like, don't do that either. Like,
Yes.
you don't go to, and my daughter's just kind of matter of fact about it. And she'll joke around with us. She likes joking around with me, I'm like, quit being a pain in the ass. She goes, hey, you chose me, remember?
Oh my God. I
Now
can't
that she's
wait for
21.
that.
And to me, like, the sarcastic dad, I'm like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's really, yeah. And
It
I think like with, for us, it's just around, can we break the cycle?
Yeah.
Right. So a
Yeah,
lot of
well
these
said.
kids have come
Yes.
from parents, grandparents that have, some addiction,
Mhm.
abuse in their, like, because Aubrey's dad, he's in jail, but he actually filled out the paperwork. You could see from his story that it's been going on for generations.
Break the
And
cycle.
it's just like, I just want her to know we're trying to give you the opportunity to break the cycle. And so I just hope one day she'll appreciate that. And if she wants to meet her family
Mhm.
and brothers and sisters, because I would want to know them,
Yeah.
that will definitely be supportive of it for sure.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
I think when people look at, so the county services, well, first of all, what if someone here is in Contra Costa County,
Yes.
how do you recommend that they get started with
Yeah.
something like this? Where do they go?
So Contra Costa Children and Family Services has a website, super easy. You click on their website and it literally says, do you want to apply to foster?
Mm.
And you
Wow.
go through the steps and fill out the application, and then you'll get a call from a social worker. And then, you'll start the process. So it's a pretty simple process. I was actually shocked how simple it was. And then you have pretty intense interviews. I'm not going to lie. They get into like deep
Some uncomfortable
children,
stuff.
yes.
like, cause they want to know what
Yeah.
could be triggers for you, like, and all of these things. So it was rough. And so, they had interviews with us and, like I said, background checks, and then looking at your home. So it's intrusive that way, but again, like it's a very rewarding process. And so, very easy. And if anyone has questions, always, I'm here to reach out, and navigating the system, because it's hard to navigate, and knowing where to kind of point you or answer specific questions.
Some of that process, we want to, there's a tendency like, wish it was easier, wish it would be easier. Part of us, I think it's probably a good thing that it is a little bit challenging.
Oh, 100%.
As to because it's an indication of intent.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The person is serious
I like
about
that,
this.
yeah.
She navigated all the way through this thing, and she's standing here, ready to go. Well,
Yes.
Earn it. You got to earn it.
Yeah. And every year we have to do 8 hours of education.
Mm.
And so there's things that
How long does that continue?
until you leave the agency. So like my
Wow,
social
okay.
worker here was like, so you guys done? You want to keep your license up? I'm like, we're going to keep our license up. Because I think like in some time, we still want to foster and help.
Help.
Right.
And so if that's kind of just respite care too
Wow.
for other families. 8 hours is until you have your license every year. And then the social worker comes once a year. Your social worker comes to just check on you in the house and make sure it's in the same
Mm-hmm.
place that it was.
Yeah.
I remember that process too, and that was it felt invasive. And I thought,
Yeah.
come on, if it was, but
But
I also understand that process,
Yeah.
right?
I definitely do now that my child.
I was going to say
will,
after what your
because
son
of-
has
yeah.
gone through. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Right. That's yeah. Your son probably wouldn't be here without that process.
Yeah.
Nope, definitely not.
Let me ask you another maybe difficult question related to how do you guys think about how do you and Peter think about the age thing versus the age of your children? Is that something that concerns you? Do you think
The
oh, man,
age thing.
well, the
Like
age thing,
how,
her
how
age,
old I am.
how old?
Oh,
Come on, JV.
sorry.
The theme of
Catching
the
up here.
podcast. My age.
Should we change the title to this?
I know.
Sarita,
Navigating Sarita's age. Sorry.
Shit. Well, because this is what I think about. These are questions that I have in my own
No,
head when I
totally.
went through
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And is it and here's one thing I want to do, because there's people that I know, and they might be listening to the podcast. There's people that I know that might be thinking we're too old to do this.
100%.
Yet they are amazing people. And what's great about being less young.
Sorry to all those young members.
What's great about it is there's a certain level of maturity that we've already experienced. We've already gotten through all that shit. We've gotten all the whole nightclub thing, got to go out and do all that shit and
Yeah.
get drunk, and we've gotten all that out of our system.
Mhm.
And now we're in a better position to be better parents.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know some couples, and I know they get discouraged. They're like, no, it's too late for us.
Mhm.
Did you think that at all, that it's too late for you guys, that maybe you should take a pass on this, or does that even come into the question for you?
No, I feel like, because our purpose was to have a family, like age didn't come into it at all. And I think Peter and I are both very healthy and, motivated to stay that way. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it came. I do think about it. I'm not going to lie, because it's like when my kid's 20,
Yeah.
I'm
that's what we
going to
do.
be like 65,
Yep.
70, hopefully not in a wheelchair, because I'm still at Diablo. But yeah, I think I definitely have thoughts of that, but I'm just trying to be present and in the moment, and of like how I can support and be there for my child now versus later, and making sure that I set them up for success later on in life.
Focusing
if I'm
with the
not
present,
around.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I wouldn't say that. I would say, do what you and, your partner wants to do, especially around a family.
I think about my fitness, and I'm not. Yeah, I think Yvonne probably does too. But I think about my fitness now as like an obligation to my
Mhm.
daughter. Like, I want to make sure
100%.
that I don't want to be that crusty old guy that she has to take care of.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
I want to be. I
You
want
to be able to
cut
wipe your
down.
ass when you're 80.
Yvonne loves telling a lot of that one.
Oh,
You're gonna be wiping my butt when I'm. My daughter, she's like, oh, I do not. Shut up! I don't want to hear it. Shut up! Don't even say it. Yvonne loves like poking her with that. But it's motivation for me to come to the gym. It's motivation for me to eat right. It's motivation for me to take alcohol out of my life. All of those things. And again, when I'm younger, you don't. Just because you're gonna live here forever when you're in your 20s and early 30s.
Yes.
And so then as you get older, you start to realize, oh shit, I am on a timeline here,
Mhm.
but I want to make the most of it all the way to the end. And what's cool is it's motivating, right? To have a child know, oh shit, it's your reason, it's your why. It becomes your why, right?
Yeah. And we want to teach them the same.
I was just going to
habits,
say that.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
you want to have set a good
yeah.
example going forward. For
100%.
them.
Like
Yeah.
I brought Aubrey into the gym the other day, and it was double under day, and I was doing double under. She goes, "Mommy, can I have like," so she, that's kind of the thing. It's funny. There was, I think it's in San Ramon. I think it's one of the CrossFit gyms down there, but they have a toddler class, and they're doing like putting little. I haven't looked into it, but like jump ups onto plates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that would be pretty cool, especially with all of us new moms around.
As many as are coming in here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was we just want to make sure that they also live a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because my daughter came in with a lot of issues. So she had foot drop. She was walking on her tippy toes. And so they were like, she needs foot braces. And really all it took was she needed more core strength.
Yeah.
And so I put her in gymnastics
that.
and the
Awesome.
girl is cured.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Learn
And,
how to move.
she's supposed to have double braces on her feet.
Supposed to.
Supposed to.
Says who?
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Just core strength. That's
It was all core strength.
wow.
It's crazy how that just it comes back to just the way our bodies are supposed to move.
Yeah.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need any kind of crazy intervention on it.
So
No.
don't let age be a reason why. If you've got an inkling to do this, don't let age be the limiting factor. Just keep your ass in shape.
Yeah.
Take the
Yeah. If you're questioning your age, then you should be questioning on what does your fitness regimen look like.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And nutrition. I'm going to say
all of that. Yeah.
nutrition's,
Nutrition's a
huge.
big one.
Yeah.
Huge,
Yeah.
huge, huge.
I mean, it's part of fitness, right? Like,
yeah, I agreed.
Yep. Take the
Yeah.
sugar out of your diet. Take the alcohol out of your diet.
Yeah.
Like live a clean life, and then you'll have a really, really powerful why.
Yeah, definitely.
What about and I hope I'm not keeping you too long, but because I love this topic today. What about your guys' local family? Do you have local family around you here?
All our family lives in Canada. Peter has a brother here that's now close that moved from Nashville, and so he has 2 kids. So we've got some support, but like our community here at Diablo and have been amazing. One of the members actually came and helped me pick up Lucas when I had to pick him up, and Peter wasn't available.
Mm.
And they show up, and I've built a community around here. We've been down here 12 years now. So
wow.
and a lot of my friends still fly in to kind of support us because we can't go back to Canada yet because
we're in Canada.
I was born and raised in Victoria.
Okay.
And
beautiful.
Peter was
wow.
Peter's nobody knows where it is. There's like 2,000 people that live there.
Where Peter lives? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called 100 Mile. It's in the middle of BC. But
wow.
Yeah,
okay. So up north.
Yeah, up north.
Way up there.
Way.
So let me ask you this: is your family now that's in Canada, or yours and his family now bugging you guys to come back with the?
Or are they trying to come down?
My mom comes down like in a heartbeat. Like she'll be like, I was like, oh, we got
I'm
the
on a plane.
adoption date. And I was like, I hadn't even sent out a message. And she's like, had already booked her flight. So I now have to put, sorry, Mom.
Yep.
Like
I think
she's looking at buying a place here so she can help out, which is great.
Yes.
That's awesome.
We love it because she
Yeah.
cooks for us. She cleans my house.
Yeah.
I think that's
Like-
another the fear that some people have is that your child won't be accepted like the other children have, or the other grandchildren have, and it's almost the opposite. Like that was the same thing with Yvonne's family. We're here from Texas. We moved from Texas to be here because they kept bugging us to move here.
Oh,
And they were coming down. They were down right away when our daughter was adopted, and like she's become like, it's ridiculous how overwhelming they are towards the
Way
love
too
for
many
her
toys.
and the family, and it's really a cool thing. That's a
Yeah.
like you brought this child in your life, you're taking care of this child, and then instantly you've given them secondary family.
Yeah.
So now if something happens to you, Peter, God forbid, but she's got a place.
Yeah. Our nieces, like, they're like, my cousin, like,
Oh,
it's just,
man,
it's
that's so cool.
Super, super. Like, you would never know that they're not
Right.
Yeah.
like blood.
Yeah.
Other than I have a blonde and
Yeah.
blue haired
Yeah.
Minor detail.
That is so neat.
But yeah, no, they do. They want us to come up there really bad, especially a lot of our friends that we still haven't met, our kids. So we should hopefully by April have his passport and all that good stuff done, so we can travel
That's
back there
exciting.
next year.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, right on. Well, we've gone over an hour. We like to go an hour on these things. This has been a really good story. So again, reach out to Surita if you're here in the Diablo community. You want to talk to her about it. She's glad to talk about any of it. I posted a link to the Contra Costa foster services in our chat, and then there are other independent adoption agencies as well that if you want to talk to me or Surita, she'd talk to Surita because she's going to know more about what's current and what's new.
Yeah.
They'll gladly. I will sell you. You come talk to me about adoption. You're going to walk away and go, "This is the greatest thing ever." Surita probably will now too.
Yes, it is the greatest
we
thing.
become it's easy to become believers.
Advocates, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, for our kids. And I think what we're, Cynthia and I were talking about, also a Diablo member,
Yeah.
we are going to start kind of a parent group. We have
Yes.
so many new parents
Yeah.
here. I was going to call it Diablo moms, but I'm like, there's dads too.
Yes, there are.
So yeah, because we just have questions.
Yeah.
And like, when I got my 6-month-old, I was like, what do I feed him? How often do I feed him? How many times at night? Like, and
Yeah.
when do you do those transitions?
Mhm.
And so we want to learn from each other, bring some experts in as well. And also just have a community to help each other, like hand-me-downs,
Yeah.
just quick questions.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
texting each other, but it'd be awesome if we just got together.
Yeah.
So look out for that.
That'd be rad.
Soon.
Cool.
Soon.
Well, thanks for being on, and we
Thank
enjoyed it
you.
a great deal. I look forward to doing another session, doing an update.
I'm just going to say thank you. This is super cool that you guys have members here that share their stories, because it really makes us feel more of a community, but
Mhm.
also like someone else to reach out to, because
Yeah.
we're here a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to kind of just talk. I know other members that have been on the podcast still get questions
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
want to hear more. So thank you
Cool.
for
Yeah.
doing this.
Oh man,
Thank
right
you
on.
for
That makes
coming
us
to
feel good.
share.
We'll I guess we're on next week then.
Yeah.
We're keeping it going.
Oh man.
We made it past 100. We got to keep going.
Episode 100.
Yeah. You're 101. Christian was 100.
All right.
Sorry, I was out sick that one time. It was
Yeah.
Yeah, you were geared. You were slated to be 100.
I know.
So he talked to Christian. Go, hey, congratulations, but I was supposed to be. 100.
I wanted like 100 cake.
Yeah, we'll have a plaque.
we didn't even have anything. That's right, 100 cake. We should have had 100th episode. cake or
Absolutely.
something, right?
We'll do it for the second 100.
Yeah, there we go. All right, thanks, Rita.
Thank you.
Yep.